Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, welcome back. Today's video is specifically for people who are super interested in makeup, and today is not a makeup tutorial. It is about my experience going to the makeup masterclass of Mario Dedivanovic. This is my very beat up and broken kind of folder from the class. Kim started the Kardashian phenomenon, and people often think that they look at the face of the celebrity and they think that person contains the entire brand. But of course, there's an entire glam squad behind these people who create their image. And the biggest influence and the biggest creator of the Kim Kardashian image and the Kardashian look was her makeup artist, Mario Dedivanovic. Today, he's probably one of the most influential makeup artists in the world, and in terms of pop culture and on Instagram, he's perhaps the most known makeup artist. Of the real makeup artists of the Hollywood A-list, I consider him to be the biggest genuine makeup artist. We have to obviously differentiate between influencers and beauty enthusiasts, people who might be super famous but they actually only do makeup on themselves mostly, versus people like Mario who are real makeup artists with clientele who don't work on themselves most of the time, as James Charles does, but who actually works full-time as a makeup artist on other people. Mario has elevated the art of soft glam. We call it soft glam now. It's a look where somebody looks natural and glamorous, but not in a trashy way, not in a stripper Vegas kind of Instagram way. He is the absolute connoisseur and master of that. I think it's the style of makeup that flatters most women, whether you are ordinary looking or whether you are naturally beautiful like the Kardashians or particularly Kim is. That is a look that'll always make you money, and Kim's artist himself calls it the moneymaker. So I wanted to share my experience with you, bearing in mind this is subjective. I specifically wanted to go to a makeup masterclass where Kim was not the model. One is, if Kim is Mario's model at one of his classes, the price is just much higher. The other reason why I didn't want to go to a class where Kim was the model is everybody does have access to the class. If you've got enough money, you can go to the class, okay? So there's no kind of a sifting criteria where you have to prove that you are a trained makeup artist or anything like that. With a Kim class, a lot of people, and especially younger girls, and especially what I like to call like the Instagram set, go to these classes. So their parents maybe pay for them to go, and they will put up their phone and go, "Hey Kim, can you say hi to my Snapchat?" That kind of shit I really didn't want to do. I really wanted to learn purely technique and skill. I'm going to start from the top. The class was in Albania, and the reason for that is that Mario is an Albanian American. So his parents are immigrants and he's from Albania. It's an Eastern European country. It was a communist country. It's a very unique experience. I flew from South Africa to Istanbul, and from Istanbul to Tirana, which is the capital of Albania. So 2 continents, 3 countries later to get to the class. The booking system was fairly easy. There's a website, the Masterclass website, where he always sells his tickets. It's a very simple website. It gives you information on what you should bring, what you shouldn't bring. I think it's fairly obvious or fairly straightforward. You purchase with your credit card. There are different levels of ticket. At our class, there was a VIP ticket, a premium ticket, and a standard ticket. The ticket prices at that stage was €350 for the VIP ticket, €100 for the premium ticket, and for the standard ticket, €50. It's very much like going to the movies or like a Ryno concert, in the sense that regardless of which ticket you purchase, you don't really have a different experience, I think. I'm sure that the people who sit at the back and who have the cheaper tickets might not think that way. I was sitting right in the front row, and Mario and the model that he was doing makeup on was that big on the stage. Basically, they build a box on the stage with lights right around him to really light up the area where his model is. So he can absolutely perfectly see what's going on her skin, what's going on her face. Lighting is the most important thing in makeup artistry. And if you don't have daylight, you have to have fantastic artificial light so you can get a true reflection of what the person's skin looks like, what their features look like. So they have a close-up on the model's face the whole time, time so that you can see what's happening on her. I don't think that changes at all. It doesn't switch to his face. It's not like watching TV where you've got shifting perspectives. You literally see very up close. This setup is to the side of the stage. It has space for about 2,000 people and the venue was full to capacity. One thing that I find inexcusable is that if you're going to host an event at a venue, yes, it's hard to control the standard or the quality of the different venues, and there was nothing wrong with the venue per se. Yes, the venue was very old. You could tell that it came from a specific communist era. What I did like was that every seat in this massive auditorium had its own fold-out table. So it really was the kind of conference center where you could kind of fold open your little table and you could have your own surface to write your notes on if you wanted to make notes. So that was useful. But this place seemed like it hadn't been cleaned in like forever. You know when a place is so dirty that clumps of dust collect under the seats? It was that kind of dirty. Like when I lifted my seat, there was like a crushed up Coke can or something under the seat. Okay, so I don't expect Mario to walk around in the auditorium and lift up every cinema seat, right, and check under it. But if I'm going to a venue, I would do a check of the bathrooms and I would do a general check of the place to make sure that it's clean, especially considering that the majority of the attendees would be women or gay men or honorary women. These are people who are precious. You know, these are people who are pink and frilly and unicorns, and they expect a clean environment, a tidy environment. So to have unflushed toilets or to have bathrooms where the doors of the locks are broken and where there isn't enough toilet paper, that was not cool. That was weird to me. The security was absolutely useless. That is not an opinion, that is a fact. Security is there to manage crowds, to make sure that a space stays safe, and also to be considerate. They didn't do any of these things. I blamed this all on Albania. I thought Albania is a third world country. I literally, coming from Africa, I'm used to some crazy shit, okay? I live in a country that is strange and unique because we have some first world elements and then we have some very third world elements. And the moment that you travel outside of South Africa, you'll really experience what the third world is like. I did not know that there are countries outside of Africa that is this primitive and disorganized in their ways. But once I started speaking to other people who've been to other events of Mario in other world cities, like London, like Miami, like LA, they said it was the same thing. So it's not an Albanian thing, it's a Mario Masterclass thing. People were crowding and pushing and really kind of like hanging around the doors before the event opened. There were no lines, even though they were like handwritten notes. I think there were some printed banners that said this is where the VIPs queue and this is where the other queues are. But then there was just like typing paper stuck on top of some areas. It didn't look prepared. Like, have your shit together. People should not be crowding, especially not at those kind of numbers. It is dangerous. The conference center had all glass doors to the front. Imagine if those people tripped and fell on the stairs, which is what happened. The event time was marked for 12 o'clock, which means it's at the heat of the day. It's the hottest time of the day. Because people were crowding so much and really pushing against one another, you could smell people's bodies, you could smell their breath. One girl got so hot that she fainted. They parted like the Red Seas. This girl dropped like literally straight like that, like from a cartoon, dead weight. She didn't only fall off the stairs, she hit her head. I didn't immediately understand what happened. I didn't realize that she fainted. I thought she was having an epileptic seizure because she looked very weird. When she came to, she didn't seem to know where she was or what was going on. This whole situation carried on for about 10 minutes. I helped to wipe her face. I think she was either drooling or something happened, but she was messy, okay? And we picked up her handbag and got her stuff together, and an ambulance came and collected her. That is completely unacceptable. She obviously missed the class. I hope that she doesn't have some kind of residual damage or that she didn't have some kind of long-term problem after this. No doubt she had concussion. No person can fall off marble stairs and hit their head first and be okay. Mario didn't mention it in the class. There was no kind of social media mention of it. And yes, it was his fault. He is the organizer of this class. Well, his sister is the organizer of this class. It's not a massive corporation or a big company or something like that. Yes, he's the biggest makeup artist in the world, but it's him, his assistant, and his sister. That is his crew. They recruit people from the local country or from the local area where they are to help them on the day. These were very young girls in branded t-shirts. They were not properly briefed. I don't think any of these girls got a sheet that said, this is what's allowed, this is what's not allowed. So once you get inside, it's kind of like being on the airplane. If you've got a ticket, you're gonna get on there. So it doesn't matter what time you get there, whether you get there early or late, you can only sit in the section that you're allowed to sit because you get a specific wristband. I could tell that it was his sister who was behind all the organizing of the event. A little tidbit, which is interesting, which I'm totally going to take credit for, is before the Albania Masterclass, they did say that there wasn't going to be big or substantial goodie bags. I assumed it was too expensive for Mario and his team to fly to Albania with a lot of heavy weight for the goodie bags, because Mario's Masterclass is known for massive goodie bags. It's the one big attraction for people who care about products and about stuff. That's a big draw card to come to the class, is the massive goodie bag. He probably has the masterclass with the most makeup products in. If you guys know of another masterclass that has more products in, please put your comments in the box below. I'd be very curious to see that. To send products to Albania would be costly, but hey, people pay a lot of money to come to this class, okay? 350 euros is not cheap, especially not for people who come from other countries who don't necessarily earn in euros or in dollars. And with Mario's masterclass, a lot of people come from other countries. It is not, I would say it's probably like 60-40% or something. I'm taking a wild guess, this is conjecture, but I would say that at least half of the class are not locals ever in any of his classes. People always come from other countries. Goodie bags are nice. I was curious about it, and of course I wanted a goodie bag, but I didn't end up keeping any of the products. I used the products as a giveaway on my social media. I think I might have kept like 3 products which I was curious about. Products that I have seen on Instagram and on social media that have been touted as amazing products that I wanted to try for myself. Not necessarily the kind of things that I would have gone out and bought for myself, but I was happy to receive it for free, so to speak, in a goodie bag and have the chance to try it for myself. For them to say that the goodie bag was not going to be big from the get-go was bullshit. That was not cool. I wonder if they got any messages complaining about this, or if they got comments on Mario's Instagram and on the Masterclass Instagram. I'll put the tags down below if you guys want to follow them, that this is not okay, because he's coming to his home country. You know, this is like a homecoming for him. So if you are from a country and you are a star in that country, and Mario is considered like a star in Albania, he even got a special governmental like medal of honor or something before he came to Albania. I'm pretty sure that's how the masterclass came about. Shortly after that, or a while after that, Mario had the masterclass in his country, and I'm sure it was at this award that he received that he got the invitation, or people said you have to come to Albania. So if you're doing a homecoming, treat your own people. Even if you feel like an American, treat them well. Treat them better than you would treat other people, even make it really special. But he did come to the party. I emailed them and I said, are you going to have the KKW Mario palette available at the masterclass? I was very specific about my wording for that. I'm paying all this money to come to the masterclass. The least we should have is get the KKW Mario collaboration, because the palette launched right around that time. We should get that for free. Of course he has access to these palettes. He gets some money off it. Probably the majority of the profit goes to Kim because it's her brand. It was literally a day or 2 days after that, and he posted on his Instagram, oh hey guys, you're gonna get the KKW and Mario palette at the Albania Masterclass as part of everybody in the class is getting one. So that was cool. I totally take credit for it. I sent a email to his sister, to the organizer email. I don't think she ever uses her name at the bottom of the email. And I sent a screenshot of that. I used that email address to say, hey, are we getting this palette? And the day after that came out on social media, I sent her a screenshot of that, just with a smiley face. I do feel that that should have been obvious. That should not have been something that we asked for. Like, if it's my class, that's like an obvious thing, right? That's like, if you're gonna have a great goodie bag, what do you put in it? You put your own stamp on it. You put a little bit of yourself into that. So you're launching a palette a month before you do an event in your home country. Geez, that's like the first thing you put in the bag, right? I understand that he's busy, but his sister runs this class for him. I think it's her job most of the time. So they should be able to think about these things. This shouldn't be unique or a bright or a new idea for them. This kind of stuff comes naturally to you when you're busy organizing one specific thing all the time. These kind of ideas should come to you. You should know how you operate and work within the context of this kind of event. So that was the goodie bag. This is the picture of the goodie bag. The goodie bag in the end ended up being really nice. Because I didn't expect anything, the amount of products we got I thought was nice. And there were a couple of star products in things that he really does use himself, that he really likes to use on Kim, and that he's repeated over the years. So it was nice to have a couple of the products that he loves, that he recommends in the goodie bag. I'm guessing maybe there was 30 products or more in. I kept like maybe 3 or 4 products in it that I really loved, that I really enjoyed, and then there were a lot of things there was a lot of consumer brands in. I have no problem with that. I'm not a brand snob. Yes, of course, it's nice to have super expensive things in your kit. But I truly have learned as a makeup artist that you don't have to have products that are 2,000 Rand and 700 Rand or whatever. You don't have to have the most expensive products. The difference often between a super expensive product and an affordable product is packaging, if even, and marketing. You can find good quality in cheap products, you can find good quality in expensive products, and the same thing, you can find poor quality in cheap and inexpensive products. So for me, it's not an issue if there's a lot of budget products in. However, for people coming to the class, many of these girls have money. They can afford it. It's easy for them to come to a class like this. I think there's the 2 categories of people who are wealthy, who can afford to come to these kind of classes, and there are people who really, truly care about beauty and who love makeup, and they've saved up. It costs them a lot of money, but they feel it's absolutely worth it for them to come to a class like this. Both of these groups of people expect expensive products in their goodie bags, and this has been a theme where people from different classes really complain about it, that at some classes you will receive the Tatcha water cream or the Dewy skin mist in your goodie bag, which are super expensive products, and then other classes you will receive only products from budget brands, and often budget brands that you've never heard of, like very random brands. Now, I found some things of the random brands in my kit that I love. Brands that I'm so glad that I discovered, that I looked up, indie brands that I'll continue buying from in my kit. So I like discovering new things, I don't mind. But I get other people's perspective that they want mostly high-end things. And beyond that it needs to be consistent. I hold my own classes in South Africa, so I understand how hard it is to fill a goodie bag and get good products. That said, Mario is one of the top 5 respected makeup artists in the world. It's not hard for him to get products, okay? It's very easy for him to put it out there and say, this is the value. I'm putting it on my Instagram. So many millions of people see that we have a brand association. And he's done so much for so many of these brands by using their products for years. He's built specific brands. Laura Mercier, he's on their payroll. Anastasia Beverly Hills, he's got a very close relationship with that family. They're incidentally also an Albanian immigrant family. So there are many brands that he's had relationships with for years who are brands that are super wealthy, that can totally afford to send him high-end products and make sure that it's in each and every of his goodie bags. That is his and his sister's responsibility. In Mario's other classes, a big thing is that people can put up their hand and ask questions. In our class, I wanted to ask a question, and the whole time in Albania, there's this kind of, and I think maybe that's like also a hangover from communist thinking, is you have to ask permission before you do anything. The security was kind of hanging around Mario like he's a celeb that would be kidnapped. Nobody's gonna freaking kidnap Kim's makeup artist, okay? There's 20 people waiting to take his job anyway. Instead, there was a lady in the front row who was disabled, who came there with a friend. There wasn't wheelchair access in this hall. So somehow they managed to get her with either her crutches or her wheelchair. I can't remember what it was, but she was like for real permanently disabled. When it was break time, she had to go up all of these stairs. So I went to the security and I said to them, look, there's an emergency exit there, because I went to open the door for her, but then the door couldn't open, it was locked. So I went to the security as like the next thing and I said, can you guys open the door? This lady can't walk and she can't go up all these stairs, and I'm not like super strong, I'm not going to be able to carry her wheelchair. It was not fair to expect of this one lady, even if she is the minder of the disabled person, to try and get her up like sets and sets and sets of pavilion-like stairs. So I say to them, please can you guys open the door? And they were so rude, so dismissive. They had no interest in helping this woman. They had no interest in opening the door. They were just hanging around Mario, that was disgusting. I thought that was really indicative. And I actually messaged Mario about this. I put it on social media and I said, this is not okay. You should have a code of conduct. You should have some rules or way of telling the people who work at your classes how to behave, how to be, and how not to be. The other thing was the fact that the people who work at the class didn't seem to know how things work. I asked them what time is the class going to start because we were supposed to start at 12 o'clock. It was crazy late. An hour and 32 minutes late, so an hour and a half late. It was supposed to start at 12 o'clock. It started after 1:30 only. I asked the ladies who were there when the class is going to start, and they were just like, soon. Then I asked them why the class is starting so late, and they said they're waiting for VIPs. The rows right by in front of Mario's block, so right on the side of the stage where Mario is working, was all taken up for his family from Albania and for Albanian influencers, so Instagram people. And these people were late. So we started an hour and a half late because we were waiting for people who got free tickets. Not only did they get free tickets, so that's why I'm saying whether you sat in the front row or at the back row, it doesn't matter because you had to look on the big cinema screen that was behind the stage, or at the back of the stage there's a massive cinema screen, like when you go to the movies where you see the girl's face. That's great, you want to see the details, but you also want to have a chance to see the girl up close, right? And the technique up close. That didn't happen. I wanted to put my hand up and ask a question, and I said to the girl, can I ask a question? And she was like, no, you can ask your questions afterwards, which didn't make sense because if you're going along in the step of, in the process of makeup, surely while he's busy with brows, you want to ask the brow question, not afterwards, because then he can demonstrate as he gives you the answer. I think he makes it easy for himself because people didn't ask questions. He explained what he did, but maybe topical things or stuff that he didn't think of wasn't touched on. He didn't mention a single brush in his class. Mario has said in several interviews that the most important part of his kit is his brushes. So that is kind of like a makeup artist's secret. Any makeup artist who has worked for a certain time and who really knows their stuff knows that the tools that you use to apply the makeup is as important, if not maybe more important, than the products that you use. You can slap together a great look with spit and cigarette ash or something if you've got the right tools. You can have the best makeup in the world, but if you don't have good application tools, it's going to take you a long time to get a good result, and certain things you just won't be able to do. So for him to not mention one brush that he used was just not cool. That was kind of like getting people to your class and hiding some of the magic, which I do think is a part of his makeup class. The other thing was, before the class I wanted to take a picture of his table. The reason why I wanted to take a picture of his table, as a makeup artist, I'm really interested in how other makeup artists prep their setup. How do they prep their table, and just how do they do things to make their work efficient and the most sensible. So somebody who works at the top level in Hollywood, I feel like he must have a great way of setting up his table. His assistant immediately stopped me and said I'm not allowed to take a picture of the makeup on his table. And it wasn't like I was being kind of obnoxious and like, picking up stuff. I didn't even want to come that close to the table. I literally just wanted to have one picture from the top to see what is he back to the left, what is he back to the right, and how does he lay out his table. And I said, may I ask why? And she was like, I don't know, he just doesn't like it. It didn't make sense to me then at all. The only thing that I could think of, because initially that made me like suspicious, and I was like, maybe does he lie about which products he's using on the person's face? Does he promote certain products and maybe that's not really the products that he uses? That was kind of like the cynical part of me. But what I later thought about, and I do want to say that some of the products that he used wasn't in the original packaging. So he would say that he's using Kogendu foundation, which I have no doubt that is what he was using. The only way that I could make sense of why he wouldn't let his table be photographed is that Mario obviously has privy to products that other people do not. So he gets products way before it is launched, and he probably uses these products. In fact, he definitely uses these products in his makeover sometimes, because he has said in other classes, not in our class, people would ask him, what is it that you're using? And he would say, It's a product that will be out soon, but I can't say anything about it. So you would see a picture of it in his hand or whatever, but you couldn't clearly see the branding or the logo, so you wouldn't even know which eyeshadow palette it is, for example. The other thing was that the class is divided into 2 sections. So first he does the eyes and a little bit of complexion. After the class he does the big contouring and highlighting effort and finishes the lips and goes back to the eyes. During break time, I wanted to photograph the model up close because I thought I really want to see what the girl looks like up close. I'm lucky that I caught a couple of pictures. When his sister saw, it was either his sister or the organizers, because there were 2 organizers from Albania who are events organizers. When they noticed that myself and then obviously other people kind of joined in, that we started taking pictures of the model up close, they shooed us away. Again, I thought, in a way, that seems very cagey, that seems like a very defensive action. If he's confident about his work, he's one of the best makeup artists in the world. I think even if he did shit work, people would still say it's amazing, because sometimes that happens. So the work was great. He does beautiful, flawless makeup. Is he the best makeup artist in the world? I don't think anybody can say who is the best makeup artist in the world. It's not like athletics where you can scientifically measure who runs the fastest, where there's an empirical way of testing that. Makeup is art, and art is completely subjective. He didn't come from a lot. He worked very hard to get where he wanted to be. Kudos to him. Is he humble? No, I don't think so. There's a big difference between the Mario on social media and the Mario that you get in the class. The last time we saw social media Mario was when he walked in on stage the first time. For me, that fake crying was cringeworthy. Many people buy into it. There are also many people in the world who are dumb as fuck. I can see fake crying when it happens, especially if there's no tears, and especially if you can kind of like look up straight after and have no broken voice. Don't do fake crying. Why would you do that? Just be real, be yourself. You don't have to try and ingratiate yourself with people. I do think that Mario has been so much part of the Hollywood machine. I don't think the Hollywood machine is conducive to being a genuine person. It's not a world that's about authenticity. It's a world that has always been based on make-believe. Mario seems angry and frustrated in many ways. I can't judge him for that. I think he must work under immense pressure. He has said many times that he's had to sacrifice many things in his life, and I don't doubt that for a second. I think if you work for a corporation that is the Kardashians, you have to be at these people's beck and call all of the time. You have to be a master of biting your tongue and putting up with a lot of things that you might not want to do, because you're getting paid, you're a hooker for the money. And we are all hookers for money in some way or the other, where we do things that we don't like to. What I can say is that there's this level of passive aggressiveness towards his audience. Nobody forced him to do the masterclass. He's coining it big time from this class. He chooses to do this himself. This is something that is an initiative of his and has been from the get-go. So to be somewhat irritable in your class, which I've heard from many people who attended many of his classes, that he would kind of be a little bit snarky, a little bit sarcastic. Try and give people an honest answer. You can give people advice if they say, I have trouble making makeup stay on, how do you deal with makeup on older skin? Rather give people the best advice and say, yes, you can't make somebody look 20 years younger, but this is the best thing that you can do for mature skin. And yes, he has given tips like that, but he's also told people stuff like, well, I have the number of a good plastic surgeon. He just sometimes seems to be annoyed by his audience members. Surely, if you're going to play the humble card, and if you're gonna be like, I'm Mr. Super Nice, then be Mr. Super Nice. You have to maintain that image for 4 hours. When you take your picture with him, they're very strict about it. They say you get one chance. If the picture is bad, that's your problem. You're not allowed to put your stuff down even. It's kind of like a sausage factory. Again, no queuing system. The people at the back of the class who had the cheapest tickets got the chance to take a picture with him first. And the people who were at the front of the class had to wait until last to get their picture taken with him. You don't have a chance to have a conversation with him. It's very sausage factory. You can imagine that if there's 2,000 people wanting to take a picture with him, it's going to take a super, super long time. I do think that that was very generous of him and very nice of him to give everybody an opportunity to take a picture with him. There's no specific benefit, or at least at the class that I went to, there was no specific benefit that you can get a picture with Mario and the other people can't. I'm not like that. I don't care about that. But in saying that, if you're considering going to the class, you don't have to purchase the most expensive ticket to attend this class, because your experience, I don't think, would be that much different from the person sitting in the front row who's paying a lot more to be there. I took a lot of notes. Not everybody takes a lot of notes. I took about 6 pages of notes. Here they are. I was scribbling like furiously. I think most people know that when you go to the class, that it's not a workshop, so you don't apply makeup on yourself, you don't apply makeup on anybody else. I agree with that format of doing makeup classes. I don't believe that you can learn to ride a bicycle by pedaling on a bike while somebody else is doing it. Somebody has to show you first. You have to get on the bike in your own time, fall off pedal until you learn how to do it. During a makeup class is not the time to practice your skill. You go and practice your skill at home. A makeup class is a chance for you to see up close how other people use the technique, what kind of products they recommend, what kind of textures they recommend. A big lesson that I learned from the class, and I think a lesson that most makeup artists know or experienced makeup artists get, is that the products is not what matters. Yes, some high-end products are great, but most of the time, you just have to choose or check the quality of the pigment, regardless of the price. I have bought pretty much everything and anything that Mario has ever recommended. I've got a super expensive makeup kit. I have no doubt that I have one of the most expensive makeup kits in South Africa. And that's not bragging rights, that's me being obsessed with makeup and being maybe a little bit greedy, or not materialistic, but where I overspend, it is on makeup and buying high-end products. The class was useful in maybe learning 2 techniques. One that I didn't know about, that I could see in makeup pictures, but I could never just quite figure out how to do it myself, and I had to see somebody showing it. I'll speak about that technique in a different video where I show some of the techniques that Mario uses. Another technique is a trick that I learned from my mum, and I had to learn it from Mario, who's half my mother's age, and see that he does it, and that it really is one of the biggest secrets to his flawless kind of watercolor finishes, the edgeless kind of beautifully blended results that he gets. And my mum knew it all along. But you never listen to your mum. So it reminded me to listen to my mum more, because sometimes they do actually know some shit that's super, super valuable. In fact, a lot of the time. In conclusion, would I recommend the masterclass? Would I not recommend the masterclass? It's not a straightforward answer. Despite many of the negatives that I've highlighted for you, I'm not sorry I went to the class. I would have always wondered what the class would be like if I didn't go. I was definitely inspired by the class. Even though I didn't personally like him, he seems to be a very stressed person. We stayed in the same hotel. It's probably one of the top 2 hotels in Tirana, in Albania. If you ever go there, I saw him at breakfast. I took a picture with him again. Even that time, although he was willing, which was kind of him, to take a picture with me, you can tell he doesn't want to speak to people. And I get that. The moment that you have some kind of profile, you have a lot of people who are time wasters who don't really have anything valuable to contribute. And it's also not a time. You're paid for your time. Your time is so valuable when you're at that level of your game that you probably don't have time for chit chat. You just want to calm down. Another interesting thing that I saw was that he drove in a taxi by himself, and his sister and his assistant carried all his suitcases, and they traveled in a separate taxi. That was kind of like the one celebrity thing that I saw of his. And I was quite surprised to see that he smokes, like double clutching, like frantically, anxiously smoking. So yes, should you go to the class or not? Make up your own mind. You will learn something from it, you will be inspired. At the same time, everything that Mario has said in the class has been said before on YouTube by him, has been said before by him on Google. So if you're a massive fan of him, and I do consider myself a big fan, I suppose sometimes criticism comes from the people who like somebody the most, or maybe their work has the most appreciation or admiration for their work. It's like seeing the Eiffel Tower on a travel channel and seeing it in real life, experiencing that up close, even if it's the same thing, is just a magic that there is no substitute for. I certainly came back really inspired. I don't think my techniques changed or my ability changed. He certainly influenced me in a massive, undeniable way. But it was the excitement about having been at the class that immediately changed the way that I did my makeup. And I can show you a picture before I went to the class of makeup I did and a picture that I did, the first makeup I did when I came back. And there was such a difference purely because of the inspiration. It's an intensive class, it is a useful class, but there are many things that need to be streamlined about the experience that is, to me, not acceptable if you're paying those kind of fees. Expect that there could be issues at the class because this is not an isolated incident. I can show you screenshots of people that I've spoken to who's gone to all the other classes who had the same experience. During the class, they're very fussy about not taking video. I think they're kind of okay with you taking pictures. The reason, obviously, why they don't want you to take video and post that online is probably that it gives away the fact that what he says in the class is what he says on YouTube, is what he said in interviews many times over, that there isn't new information necessarily there. Every makeup artist has a signature technique, and then they adjust that signature technique according to the job that they are working on. And Mario has a very, very specific look. The only time that the girls who worked at the class I thought were thinking they were doing their job was when, if you would lift your camera, they would literally come to you and they would put their hand right in front of your phone and push your phone down. That was very aggressive, it was rude, it was offensive, and that happened all the time. So the biggest gripe that I had with my experience was that the makeup masterclass was not a happy experience. It was inspiring, it was interesting, many things can be said about it. But in Albania specifically, there was a weird negative vibe. And I always think that with any company, with any experience you have, that what you experience at the bottom of the pyramid is what comes from the top of that pyramid. Mario is tense, passive-aggressive, and a little bit grumpy, and that is what the class was like. If you go to a makeup class, surely it should be a fun, happy, relaxing, inspiring experience, not a tense, disorganized, chaotic, frustrating experience where people ask you, why do you want more paper? Because I want to make more notes, because I paid to be here, because 2 A4 folios is not enough for me to make notes on a makeup class that's going to be like 5 or 7 hours. This can't be the first time that he's hearing this kind of feedback. So the only conclusion that I can draw from this is that mostly he has no fucks to give. It's about making money, it's buy low and sell high. What I can tell he spends a lot of money on is making these classes look amazing. Why do these classes look amazing? Look at my pictures. There's a team of like 10 people who have lights and strobes and music and all kinds of filmic Hollywood level of photography happening during the class to make this class look amazing. I looked at the videos, the marketing videos of the Albania Masterclass, which came out pretty soon after the Masterclass and which is used to always promote the next Masterclasses. And I was like, shit, did I go to that event? Yes, I did. No, I did not. The editing of the videos, the lighting and all of that is set up for the purpose of marketing the event. Yes, it adds to the event somewhat when you're there, but I don't even really remember the lights and the music so much of the event. You go there for the teaching, you go there for the content, you go there to learn, and that's what's important. Not mood lighting and strobes and stuff like that. The lighting, the videos, the massive camera crew, that was all very Hollywood in the truest sense of the word. And that always, with Hollywood, things look so much better and polished and shiny and happy than it really is on the inside. And in that way, Mario truly is a Hollywood makeup artist.